Erev Tov, Dr. Liz, how are you?
Shalom, Rav. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, getting ready for Shabbat, and Bezrat Hashem, all good, Rav. Yeah,
Yeah, לא פשוט, לא פשוט, לא פשוט,
no
מצב
pashat,
לא
not
פשוט.
at all.
Give us the news, Dr. Liz, whatever
Okay,
you...
so a lot's been happening. There's been rammings, and unfortunately, a helicopter. There was an accident in Gaza, which is so sad. With two of our soldiers, our dear soldiers, were killed in that accident. But Israel actually did an attack at a school in central Gaza in Nusrat. And the UN immediately and all the world media said, oh, Israel has bombed a school where there's UN staff. It turned out that six of the UNRWA staff that were killed were actually part of Hamas. It's unbelievable. From the UNRWA staff that were killed, three definitely are known to be Hamas operatives, and they part of the UNRWA staff, and they used the school as a cover for their, for their attacks. And this was, and this only comes out later. And Israel says that they use specific weaponry to only target those militants, those terrorists that are there. And the world media just sees it as Israel killing Palestinians. It's unbelievable. But Rav, amazing thing what happened is that Israel Special Forces, they raided in northwestern Syria. It was a major Iranian's weapon center, and it's called the IRGC Weapon Center. And not only did they raid it, they took equipment and documents. And this is right inside Syria, and there were boots on the ground. So there were IDF inside that facility. They took the equipment and a bit of equipment, and they took documents, which is incredible. So it shows that our intelligence, is actually quite unbelievable to do such an operation. Now, South Africa, unfortunately, has taken Israel, and they continue to take Israel to the International Court of Justice for genocide. And isn't it amazing that Israel is so bad as what they do that they've just finished a polio vaccine for all the young kids in Gaza? Israel's facilitated this polio vaccination for all the young kids in Gaza. So if we were committing genocide, why are we giving polio vaccines, which was actually invented by a Jew, to the kids of Gaza? So obviously we extremely bad at committing genocide. But Rav, I want to just mention on a good note, and it's always good to have a good note, Manor Solomon, who is an Israeli international soccer player, has been signed up for Leeds United. Leeds United in the city of Leeds in England. They had a very strong Jewish community. I've met Freddie Apfel. His father was the Dayan in Leeds for many years, and he's now living in Netanya. He's 92. He gives shiurim at the Young Israel at the age of 92, and he spent his life in Leeds. They came from Germany to Leeds. So Manor Solomon, who's an amazing Israeli soccer player, who used to play, but he got injured, but he was for Tottenham Hotspurs, has been on a free transfer to Leeds United. So for all those soccer fans out there, we have an Israeli national player being represented in England, and it should just bring mazel. Anyway, wishing Shabbat Shalom. It's always good to see the good news.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Dr. Liz. Rabota, I just want to apologize for the late message. I wasn't feeling well yesterday and today, and I didn't think that I'm going to give the show. But Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving us the strength, and we're going to give the show. Jeffrey, don't forget to unmute your microphone, Mr. Jeffrey. And I'm going to mute everyone else, okay? And just, Jeffrey, don't forget to unmute your microphone. And we're going to start the show. בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. I would like to dedicate the show on the soul of Esther Kaden Bat Ketia, Mordechai Ben Rahma, Tamar Bat Zeava, Itan Ben Keren ואבישי נאה, מלכה רג'ינה בת ג'ויה, שמואל Ben Dudu, Yaakov Salomon Ben Farha Bat Salha, Yafa Bat Kalman, Benahum Ze'ev Ben Israel. Please, God, that the She'ur will uplift their soul in heaven. Also, I would like to dedicate the She'ur in Refuah Shleima, in a quick, speedily recovery to Liora Bat Miriam, Menashe Naji Ben Farha, Arav Moshe Ben Bayabatia, Arav Moshe Ben Dervora, Arav Shlomo Yehuda Ben Dalia, Arav Avraham Ben Marina, Dvora Bat Esther, Sheina Keila Bat Hana, Mordechai David Ben Leah. Who else there is there? Yehuda Hillel Ben Shulamit Leah, Chaim Nahum Ben Pesach Reza Cohen, Baruch Ben Sarah Hiena, Yehuda Ben Eliezer, Meir Ben Yehuda, Immanuela Bat Gavriela, Itai Ben Tali, Malka Bat Rachel, Hanania Shalom Ben Avigdor, Uri Ben Yael, Ayala Eden Bat Rivka, Pesach Yitzhak Ben Ella, ואריאל בן שילת, that's it. Please God, רפואה שלמה to them, ולכל שאר חולי ופצועי עמו בית ישראל, בכל מקום שהם. Please God, רפואה שלמה to whoever need רפואה שלמה. רבותיי, this Shabbos we're going to read Parashat Tetzeh, and בעזרת Hashem, I will try to connect the Parsha, number one, to where we're standing at the moment with the war in Eretz Israel. That means the war in the north, the war in the south, the war inside Israel, the war outside Israel against our enemy, Davar Rishon. The second thing, we read the Parsha just before Rosh Hashanah. So we have to connect it somewhere to the month of Elul that we are at the moment. We are at the month of Elul. So בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך, ונתנו אדוני אלוהיך בידיך, ושבית שפיו.
When you go out to war against your enemies, and Hashem your God will deliver him into your hand, and you will capture his captivity.
Okay, what is happening here? First of all, we have to explain what's happening here. The Torah tells us when you go into a war. Which war the Torah doesn't tell us. But we have to understand that the Torah speak, and Rashi HaKadosh explain that what the Torah is speaking here, it's Milchemet Reshut. What's the difference between Milchemet Reshut and Milchemet Mitzvah? They're two different wars. Milchemet Reshut, it's not obligation war. Obligation war, it's a war that when you go into a war, that to extend your boundaries. The Torah tells us that when you go into a war to extend your boundaries, okay, that's called Milchemet Reshut. Milchemet Mitzvah, it's like on a time that what's happened with Yeshua bin Nun when he conquered the land of Eretz Israel. He had an obligation to conquer the land of Eretz Israel, and that's called Milchemet Mitzvah. We have an obligation. That's Milchemet Chobah. Or when enemy come to attack you and try to kill you, you're obligated to defend yourself. You have to go to a war. What is the Torah speaking here? It's Milchemet Reshut. It's that when we want to extend our boundary, we don't have an obligation to go to war. And the Torah tells us, כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך, ונתנו אדוני אלוהיך בידיך, ושבית שפיו. The question is, if you look carefully, when you go into a war, it doesn't say, כי תצאו למלחמה, כי תצא. תצא, it's a singular. Why does it start? And the Torah tells us that when you go into a war in singular, the Mefarshim said, did you see one man going to a war against other nation? Maybe in a movie you see Rambo, Shmembo, Krembo, that one man can win everyone. But in reality, we know that when you go into a war, you go as a regiment, you go as a division, you go as a platoon, you don't go singly. ונתנו, כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך, ונתנו השם אלוהיך בידיך, ושבית שפיו. What is the Hidush here? We have to understand why is the Torah tell us ki tetzeh lemilchama al oivecha and singly? Because no one go alone to a war. I know that if we go to a war, we go as a regiment, you go as a platoon. You know, you don't go as a single soldier. You start fighting a war. So I'm going to bring two different explanations. The one explanation that I would like to start, it's with the commentary of Rabbeinu Hari Kadosh, Rabbi Yitzhak Luri Ashkenazi, that he born.
You've gone mute. Gone mute, right?
Sorry. So
You're back.
yeah, I'm back. Are you with me? Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Yes, right.
Okay, I don't know what's happened. I think that I have an incoming call. So anyway, I just deleted. Sorry about that. Say Rabbeinu Yitzhak Luri Ashkenazi, born in Jerusalem, 490 years ago. He explained like this, that the Torah actually come to teach us something very important. She said, Ki tetzeh lemilchama al oivecha. That means if you want the Kadosh Baruch Hu to surround your enemy in your hand, look what it says singly. That means that the Jewish people have to be united. When you go to a war, Se'ari HaKadosh, the Torah tried to teach us that you have to be united. You can't go to a war ununited. That means when people go to a war, when there is a disagreement between them, there is a different opinion and separation, that's what's going to bring everything down. He said that that's why the Torah started with singly. That when you go into a war, I do that, you're not going to go as a one man. That's in a movie. But in reality, you go as a regime, as a platoon. But the entire army that go into a war have to be united. And if you're united, then you're going to win them. And that's what the Torah tells us. Rashi HaKadosh actually write it in Sefer Shmot. Ke'ish echad belev echad. Like one man with one heart. When you go into a war, you have to be united like one man with one heart. And that's the Hidush here. How important is the unity of the Jewish people when we go to war? How much those things are applicable to us today? And Hazal explained to us something very important, that you have to understand that the unity of the Jewish people, that's what gives us the strength. The unity of the Jewish people, that's where Kadosh Baruch Hu create a miracle to us. How united we are. That's the opinion of Rabbeinu Yitzhak Luri Ashkenazi, the Ari HaKadosh. There is another opinion that brought by Rashi HaKadosh, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki. He born in a city of Torah 984 years ago in the north of France. And he said like this, I'm going to read Rashi from his commentary. יהיו בעיניך כאויבים, אל תרחם עליהם, כי לא ירחמו עליך. What is Rashi HaKadosh say? That you have to understand, when you go into a war, you have to look at your enemy, at those that you're fighting them, as your enemy. And don't have mercy and compassion on them, because they're not going to have any mercy on you. Is that telling us something that when maybe we missed, or maybe somewhere along the line we forgot, the 7th of October? And that's what we have to remind ourselves. Rashi HaKadosh telling that close to 1,000 years ago, that you have to understand that your enemy have no mercy, no compassion towards you. When you go into war with them, don't have any mercy, any compassion. Never mind what the UNRWA say, United Nations say, never mind what other nations say. A war is a war that we didn't start, we have to finish it. With no mercy, with no compassion. And when we started to have compassion and mercy, that's when the story starts. When you start to give him polio, and when you're starting to look after those little kids that they brought up to be terrorists, what you're doing, that you're actually giving them life. Those ones, as a little snake, they're going to be a big snake. That's what Rashi tried to teach us. That's on physically. But on a spiritual point of view, Rashi also brings comments of it. And Rashi say like this, sorry. Rashi HaKadosh say, the same like you shouldn't have any mercy on physical enemies, you also shouldn't have any mercy on spiritual enemies. And that's the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Say Rashi HaKadosh, you have to understand that the evil inclination doesn't have any mercy or compassion towards you. When it's time to make you sin, he doesn't think twice. Okay? He makes his job. His job is to make you sin. He doesn't sleep at night for a second. When it's come to Yetzer Hara, also you should attack him with no mercy, with no compassion. The same like he tried to attack you, that's how you should annihilate him, with no mercy and no compassion. And that's the Hidush here. Ki tetzeh al oivecha. Why is the Parsha start with singly? How can be that one man can go to a war? Say the Mefarshim, what we brought, the Ari HaKadosh, Rashi HaKadosh. What does it mean, singly, ki tetzeh, as one man? What does it mean, one man? As a unity. You have to understand that the unity of the Jewish people is so important. And the other explanation, that not to have mercy and not to have compassion on our enemy, if it's the physical and if it's the spiritual. Later on in the Parsha, the next verse, in verse 11, the Torah tells us, וראית בשביה, אישה יפת תואר, וחשקת בה, ולקחת לך לאישה.
And you will see among the captivity a woman who is beautiful of form, and you will desire her. You may take her to yourself for a wife.
Okay. You have to understand what we're talking here, and we're going to make the question that I'm going to ask now very complicated. First of all, we're talking about Milchemet Reshut, we say. Milchemet Reshut, we explain, I just repeat it briefly. It's a war that to extend the Jewish boundaries. It's not an obligation war. It's not Milchemet Chova. The Torah comes to tell us that when you're going to a war, okay, that you want to extend your boundaries, and one of the soldiers saw a nice-looking woman, he want to marry her. The Torah give us a different thing. The Torah tell us that you're allowed to marry her, but there is a condition. That's basically the pshat of the book. But what's the hidush here? What is the question here? We have to understand what he's talking. So question number one, we have to understand, and that's the question of the Zera Shimshon, Rabbi Shimshon Haim Nachmani. He born in Modena 318 years ago. And he asked, I don't understand. In Milchemet Reshut, in a non-obligation war, you're allowed to marry a Gentile woman if you saw when you conquer the land. But in Milchemet Chova, if you've gone to a war, it's an obligation war, you're not allowed to marry a Gentile woman. Why? What's the difference? If you're talking about desire, a person that have a desire with a non-obligation war, he will have the same desire if you have obligation war. So how come that the Torah allowed him to marry a woman when it's a non-obligation war, while it's an obligation war, he's not allowed to marry her? Question number one. Question number two, that we have to understand that the Torah tells us that the people that used to go to war didn't have any averot. There was tzaddikim. So how can it be that a tzaddik that going to war will look at the woman because her physical look? What's the hidush? A man that if you have avera couldn't go to a war. So now you're telling me that this tzaddik would look at a woman? What is the idea here? We have to understand what's happening. So let's start with the Zera Shimshon, and then we'll move on. We'll try to bring Rashi HaKadosh and to understand. So the Zera Shimshon, you have to understand the difference between an obligation war to a war that Milchemet Reshut. Reshut is not a compulsory that you have to do a war. When we want to extend our boundary, we go to war. Said the Zera Shimshon, the difference is come like this. When you go to a nation, the first thing that Yeshua bin Nun done before he crossed the Jordan Valley, he sent 3 messages to the people that live in Eretz Israel. He said to them, the message number 1, those of you that want to leave with no war, now it's the time. You can leave, and we promise you we're not going to harm you. We're not going to do any bad things to you. You leave, we're not going to touch you. Second thing, second message that he given them, he says that if you want to do covenant of peace with us, you're more than welcome. But he said to them, once that we cross the Jordan Valley, and that was the third message, you have to understand that we're going to conquer the land, and whoever going to stand in our way, we're going to kill. There's no mercy, there's no compassion. We're not going to accept any one of you anymore to our nation. Said the Zera Shimshon, if you look carefully at the history, Rahav, if you remember Rahav, she used to live in Jericho. When the spy came to Jericho, she made a covenant of peace with the 2 spies. She said to him that she's going to hide them and she's going to help them. You remember that she helped them to run away in one condition, that when they're going to conquer Jericho, is to make sure that her family not going to be harmed, not she and not her family. That means that she made covenant of peace before the war started. And obviously, we saw when Yeshua bin Nun conquered Jericho, when he conquered Jericho, Rahab made a covenant in peace, and none, not she and not her family, been harmed by the Jewish people. So the Zera Shimshon, from here you live, that sometimes people have chance to do tshuva. That means they're giving them a chance to come, to be part of us, to do a covenant, to become a Jew. Okay, you want to become a Jew, you want to come and marry us, there's no problem, but it is certain condition. But there is time that you can't. When is it? In Milchemet Chova, when it is an obligation to go to war. He said that's the difference. In Milchemet Reshut, okay, you find a nice looking woman, there's a condition, maybe you look at her physicality, you didn't understand who she is inside, we'll give you a certain time that you have to make sure that her physicality not going to overcome, that you will understand who she is in reality. He said that's in Milchemet Reshut. In Milchemet Chova, you have to fight. There is no one. You can't take anyone. Never mind desire, never mind no desire. In those situations, I don't give you any more chances. He said, that's the Hidush here. He said, the Hidush here is to teach us something very important, that you have to understand that when it's come to Milchemet Chova, that's it. No one can convert. What is the Hidush to Rosh Chodesh Elul? Now we're going to connect it to Rosh Chodesh Elul. In Rosh Chodesh Elul, HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us a chance to do tshuva. to rectify our deeds, to work on ourselves, to try to become better person, to try to do mitzvot, to try to daven more, to do kindness, and etc. Said the Zera Shimshon, it's exactly the same between Milchemet Reshut and Milchemet Mitzvah. He said Milchemet Reshut, it's the month of Elul. Milchemet Mitzvah, it's already Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. He said it's very difficult once that the decree been signed by Kadosh Baruch Hu to change the decree. He said that's what the Torah tells us. Ki tetzeh milchama, it's always in the month of Elul. Remember, now it's a time for all your chances. Now it's the time to take things into your hand, to do tshuva, to rectify the deeds. That's the Hidush here. He said the Hidush here is to do tshuva in the month of Elul, not in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur after the decree is already done. And that's the Hidush. He said that's what the Torah tried to teach us. That V'ra'ita b'shivya isha yefat Torah, that you're going to a war of Milchemet Reshut, like Rashi HaKadosh said. That's the Hidush. Another interpretation that brought by Rashi, the Torah here speaking about Yetzer Hara. ראית אישה יפת תואר. רש"י הקדוש say, לא דיברה התורה אלא כנגד יצר הרע, the evil inclination. The evil inclination. That means that we know that the soldiers that gone to war, we explained, there was all tzaddikim. And those tzaddikim never have a sin. If they have a sin, they wouldn't go to a war. Why? Because if a person have a sin, it's less chance that we're going to win the war. So what is the explanation? The explanation is like this. How can it be, the question is, how can it be that the tzaddik suddenly going to look at a Gentile woman? I know that she's a nice looking externally. We don't know interiorly, because exteriorly she maybe look nice. Said the Mefarshim that we're speaking here what Rashi tried to teach us Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara always entices us to do Averot. That the person, dafka in those things that he have a prohibition not to do them, okay? And the Torah knew that when a person have a prohibition, he's not allowed to do certain things. And the Torah just took as an example the nice-looking woman, okay, or beautiful-looking woman. The Torah tells us in the time of the war, that's evil inclination going to come and entice him. Why? It's going to come and entice the soldiers to sin. But the Torah comes to teach us something very important. That she's talking about a woman. Why dafka a woman? Hazal tried to explain to you something very important. We know that we have King Solomon, and we have the judge Shimshon, Samson. Said the Mefarshim, you have to understand. Hazal spoke about a woman. Why dafka a woman? Because the Yetzer Hara always find anything to make sure that the person enticed. What is it? The arayot, immorality. Say Hazal that we know that Shlomo HaMelech tried to rectify the entire world. He married 1,000 women. And the Torah tells us, LaMelech, one of the things that the king have a prohibition is not to marry too many women. He's allowed to marry up to 18. In his case of Shlomo HaMelech, he tried to rectify the entire world. Why? But that he's going to marry all the queen, or let's call it the princess, they're going to convert the nation. That was his mistake. Also, with Shimshon, with Delilah. Okay? Delilah, you call it in English. That she was from the Plishtim. She was a Plishtit. Said, dafka this the Torah chose. Why? Because the Torah knows that en apotropos la'arayot. That when it's come to women, there's a problem. So that's why the Torah come to tell you when it's come to immorality, there's no. So in a war of reshut, we allowed you. But when it's milhamet chova, that you have to defend yourself, you have to conquer the land, it's a different situation. Then you dare to kill and not to have mercy and compassion. That's the two explanation. What does it mean? Ki, how does it say there? וראית בשביה אישה יפת תואר וחשקת בה ולקחת לך לאישה. Okay, let's go to verse 18. And here the Torah speak about something very interesting, and we'll see what Hazal tell us in the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin. But first, let's read it. כי יהיה לאיש בן סורר ומורה, אינו שומע בקולו, בקול אביו ובקול אמו, ויסרו אותו, ולא ישמע עליהם.
Is this 15, Rav?
18,
18,
sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, my mistake.
If a man will have a wayward and rebellious son who does not hearken to the voice of his father and the voice of his mother, and they discipline him, but he does not hearken to them, that number 19 is next.
No, that's it. What does the Torah speak? The Torah speak about a rebellious son. First of all, Rabota, you have to understand, what is a rebellious son? We have to understand what is a rebellious son. Here the Torah, when she tells us a rebellious son, is in the age of 13 to the age of 13 and 3 months. That's a rebellious son. A rebellious son can be from the age of 13 to the age of 13 and 3 months. If it's after that, it's not considered as a rebellious son. What is a rebellious son? Very briefly, just for us to understand. It's a child that steals money from their parents, okay, from his mother and his father. And with that, he buy meat. And with that, he buy wine. And eating, although that his parents warn him not to do that. That means, zolel v'sover. That means that he eat it for the sake of, not because he's hungry. And he drinking wine to get drunk and etc. Okay? That's briefly, really briefly, what is Ben Sorer Umor. But Hazal in the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph, that means 71 folio 1. Hazal tell us something very interesting. Ben Sorer Umore, lo haya velo nivra. What does it mean? Hazal in the Gemara say that a rebellious son never was, will never be, and will never be created. He never been created, he never was, and he'll never be. So what's the Hidush here? Lo haya velo nivra. Never was, and he's not created. Wait a minute, said the Gemara, Hazal in the Gemara. He said, wait a minute. In that case, why is the Torah speaking about a rebellious son? I mean, why are you telling me about a rebellious son if it's never been, and it's never been created? What's the Hidush? So Hazal answer in a Gemara, Derosh v'kabel sachar. That means read about it, learn about it, and in that merit, you're going to receive a merit that you learn about it. I thought that it not exist. I saw a beautiful commentary of Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov. Rabbi Eliyahu Kitov actually born in the city of Warsaw in Poland. He born 112 years ago. Yeah, 112 years ago. And he wrote a book, Sefer HaParshiot, the book of the Parshiot, and he explained like this. He said that the Torah telling us about a rebellious son, and we read about it, and we're learning. And by that we're learning about it, that we're reading about it, he said that it's come to teach us that by that, although that it never was, from that we realize that what is a rebellious son, we're getting merit. What does it mean? By that we have the fear that if there is a son like this, the punishment is there, we get merit for it. That means to stop him from going wrong. I saw a beautiful commentary of Rabbi Eliezer Askari. Rabbi Eliezer Askari, born in Tzfat, in a city of Tzfat. He born 491 years ago. Rabbi Eliezer Askari. He wrote Sefer Haredim, the book of Haredim, and he explained like this. And he said that the Torah actually come to teach us something by that he speak about the rebellious son. He come to teach us, and he come to teach every parent. When you see your son going off the rail, immediately it's your obligation to put him back on the rail. That means don't allow your kids to deteriorate. That means if you allow them to go off the rail, you don't know where is that going to lead. And that's why the Torah comes speak about the rebellious son, to try to tell you how important is it to make sure right at the beginning, when you see your child getting off the rail, immediately to put them back. That's the Hidush. And that's why the Torah speak about the rebellious son. Let's go to verse 21. And in verse 21, the Torah tells us something very interesting about the punishment of the rebellious son. But look what it says. ורגמוהו כל אנשי עירו באבנים ומת. וביערת הרע מקרבך, וכל ישראל ישמעו ויראו.
All the men of his city shall pelt him with stones, and he shall die. And you shall remove the evil from your midst. And all Israel shall hear, and they shall fear.
Okay, here the Torah tells us that the member of the city must stone that rebellious son, and he's gonna die, and then we're gonna get rid of all the evilness that there is among us. I saw a beautiful commentary that brought in the book Perah HaLevanon. Perah HaLevanon was written by Rabbi Yehuda ben Yosef Peretz. He born in Venice around the 18th century. I'm not sure exactly where and how. In his book Perah HaLevanon, the flower of Lebanon. Okay, Lebanon is also referring to Har HaBayit. Okay, Lebanon, it's called. In his book, he explained that here the Torah comes to give a man advice how he can annihilate the evilness that has v'shalom that there is, or the bad thing that we have on him. The Torah come and tell us that when you see what's the punishment that's happened to a rebellious son, that he been stoned by the member of the city, by the man of the member of the city, it's come to teach you something very important. A person will look what was his punishment, and he's going to think twice before he do. It's come to tell you if a person actually get rid of all the evilness, the Yetzer Hara that he have inside him, okay, people will listen to him. That when a person work on his character trait, if a person wants that other people will listen to him, he have to get rid of his evil inclination. So the Torah tells us, let me give you advice. How you can conquer that evil inclination? By that you're going to get rid of it. How are you going to get rid of it? Look what's the punishment going to be if you follow the evil inclination. Where do we learn that? From the rebellious son. Dafka from the rebellious son that never been created and never was. That's going to lead us to understand, nachon, that it never was and it never been created, but the punishment is still there. The punishment is stoning. And if you think about it, what the Yetzer Hara can lead you in the end, that you have a problem. Let's go to chapter 22. In chapter 22, verse 8, here the Torah tells us something very, very interesting. The Torah speak about when a person builds a new house, and you have an obligation to put a balustrade around the balcony, around the steps, and etc. Let's read. כי תבנה בית חדש, ועשית מעקה לגגיך, ולא תשים דמים בביתך, כי ייפול הנופל ממנו.
If you build a new house, you shall make a fence for your roof, so that you will not place blood in your house if a fallen one falls from it.
Okay. The Torah commands us to put a balustrade, a fence. For example, in South Africa, it's very common. Almost every second house have a swimming pool. We are obligated to put a fence around the swimming pool. Why? Because it's a danger. Those that doesn't know, Chas v'shalom, can drown. The Torah tells us if you build a double-story roof, a concrete roof, on top of the roof, you have to put a fence so no one's going to fall. You build the balustrade, you build the staircase, boom, you have to build a balustrade so no one's going to fall. What is the height? The Torah doesn't tell us, but the Mefarshim explain it's from 80 centimeters. When the height is 80 centimeters, you're already obligated to do it. If it's a swimming pool that people can drown, also, you have a hole in your place that people can walk, Chas v'shalom, and fall inside, immediately put a fence. To avoid any injuries, to avoid Chas v'shalom, that's not going to be this. Okay? That's on the pshat of the Dvarim. But I saw a commentary of Rabbi Azariah Mipijo. Rabbi Azariah Mipijo, born in Venice 445 years ago. And he says something very interesting in his book, Bina La'atim. He said like this, that here the Torah come and tell us that the person should not allow to bring other people to danger, including himself. What is the Hidush? He said, look what it said in the end of the pasuk. Ki yipol hanofel mimeno. What does it mean? Ki yipol hanofel mimeno. It's Rabbi Azariah Mipijo like this. Some people say, if it's time to die, it's time to die. It's Rabbi Azariah Mipijo. That's true. But it's not if you're going to put yourself in danger. Sorry. If it's time, Chas v'shalom, to die, well, everyone have to die. But he said that if you go into a place, if you let me give you an analogy or give you an example. A person want to do bungee jumping. According to the Torah, you're not allowed to do bungee jumping. Why? Because it said, "V'nishmartem me'od lenafshotechem." Say the poskim, not me, the poskim. Bungee jumping, there's a chance that the wire going to cut. Yes. It's happened to few people. Yes. And we saw what's happened. He said, you can't tell that I'm going to a dangerous place. If it's my time to die, die. It's not my time not to die. I'm not going to die. Say Rabbi Azariah Mipijo, what the Torah tried to teach you here. Now, that you have an obligation to put a fence, but you have to put a fence also for yourself. You can't go to a war zone and to say nothing going to happen to me. If it's my time to die, I die. The Torah come to tell us something very important. The Torah come to teach us how important life, not like other religion, that life is not important to them. The Torah tried to teach us how much life is important, that if there is danger, don't put yourself in danger. You're not allowed to put yourself in a dangerous situation. He said that Kal Vachomer, that the Torah tells us to put a fence around your swimming pool. You can't say, no, I'm not going to put a fence around my swimming pool because if it's my time to die, I die. No, you can't say that. The Torah tells you, say Rabbi Azariah Mipijo. The Torah tried to teach you where there is danger, don't put yourself in danger. You can't say if it's time to die, it's time to die. In our Torah, there is value to life, not like other religions. That for them to die, it's like sacrificing to die. Remember, the pagan used to sacrifice their kids, and that's how they become holy. The same like our cousin. When they die, they think that it's holy, that they're going to have 70 virgins waiting for them. Let's see how many Malachi Habala waiting for him. Angel of death waiting for them there. Say Rabbi Azariah Mipijo, here you learn one important thing, that the Torah cares about life. And a person has to understand that. Can't put himself in danger and say later on, if it's time for me to die, I die. And that's the Hidushia. It's not only with danger, about physical danger. A person, they have to understand that there's other dangers. A person, let's say in a cold day, in a windy day, early morning, can't leave the house with the wet hair. He's going to get sick. So a person will say, if it's time for me to die, I die. No, it doesn't work like that. The Torah comes to teach you something very important. Don't put yourself in that danger. It's your obligation to make sure to go to a doctor if you need. You got sick, you have a permission to go to a doctor. You don't say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whoa, kill me. Nachon that HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to kill you, but you need a messenger. You have to dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu that will send you a decent doctor that will give you the right medication. And that's what the Torah tried to teach you. Ki yipol mimeno hanofel. Don't put yourself in danger and say, blame it on HaKadosh Baruch Hu if it's time to die, time to die. That's the Hidush. That's the Rabbi Azariah Mipiju. Let's go to chapter 23. In chapter 23, verse 8, again, here we see that the Torah actually is speaking about something very interesting. The Torah actually here is speaking about not to despise, not to despise Edomite and not to despise Egyptian. And let's see why is the Torah telling us not to despise Edomite and not to despise Egyptian. And it says like this, chapter 23, verse 8. Lo tita'ev Edomi, ki achicha hu. Lo tita'ev Mitzri, ki ger hayita be'artzo.
You shall not reject an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not reject an Egyptian, for you were a sojourner in his land.
Okay, here the Torah, here the English translation says that you should not reject. Leta'ev, it's to despise something, like, okay, not to reject. Let's call it like this. Let's understand. Here we have a negative command from the Torah. We're not allowed to reject Edomite and Egyptian. What is the Hidush here? The Mefarshim ask, what is the Hidush here? Why we're not allowed to reject Egyptian, for example? We know that when we was in Egypt, our father was in Egypt, what is the Egyptian done to us? They put us to slavery, hard slavery. They kill the male, they drown him in a Nile. Not only that, we know that the Egyptian later on, not only that they put us in slavery, they put us into hard slavery. What does it mean? That they changed the job of a woman to a job of a man, and the job of a man, they changed to a job of a woman. That means they swapped the job. And it made it very hard for us. Come the Mefarshim and tell us, come the Torah and tell us that you're not allowed to reject the Egyptian. We have to understand why. Why is the Torah tell us not to reject the Egyptian? Rashi HaKadosh explained, what is Rashi HaKadosh say? That שהיו לכם אכסניה בשעת הדחק. What does it mean? That you have a place to stay. They're giving you a place to stay in Egypt. The Egyptian giving us shelter to stay and food to eat. Pshat of the Dvarim. What is the Hidush here? I saw in a book of the Rambam, the great ego, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. He born in Cordova. As you all know, he wrote, he born 889 years ago. As you all know, he wrote the Yad HaZakah, the Moreh Nevuchim. He wrote a few other commentary on the Mishnah, but in his book, Guide for the Perplexed, in chapter 3, verse 22. No, 42. Let me just check. Yes, volume 3, chapter, my mistake. Volume 3, chapter 42. He said like this. He said that the Torah teaches us here something very important that we have to remember, gratitude. He says there that the person that you benefit from him in the past, and he done good to you, but later on in life, you found out that that person, for some reason, actually become horrible to you. But at the beginning, he was good to you, the same like the Egyptian. At the beginning, they're giving us shelter, they're giving us food, they're giving us their land. We become part of them until we left the Torah alive, and then they're gone against us. Said the Rambam, the Torah come to teach you gratitude. You have to remember for all the good things that they done to us. You must not forget that. And you have to show gratitude. That means it's come to teach us that sometimes a person done good to us. But somewhere along the line happens something between the two people, between the two friends, and something happened. And suddenly he turned his back on you. Let's call it this way, okay? The Torah comes to tell you that you're not allowed to despise him. The Torah comes to teach you something very important, that you have to understand, that you have to show gratitude to those that done good to you. Nachon, that here the Torah tells us, lo teta'ev. Jeffrey, how's it say, lo teta'ev? You're not allowed
Reject.
to reject. Nachon, that the Torah tells us not to reject. But leta'ev, it means to despise. Why? And I tell you why I'm using these words. I know that the commentary say to reject. Because sometimes it's not just that you're rejecting your friend. You despise when he done something wrong to you. After that, for many years, he done good to you. Suddenly, he done something wrong. You're not only rejecting him, you despise him. The Torah tells us, lo teta'ev. And in my opinion, the English commentary, leta'ev, is to despise.
Mm-hmm.
It's come to tell you, although that in the past he helped you, and now in this moment something happened, he turned his back on you, you're obligated to remember good deeds that he done for you in the past. To remember that the Torah tried to teach us how important is gratitude, to show gratitude. About which other Torah in the world teach us gratitude like this? And that's a beautiful hidush for us to understand now that we're going towards Rosh Hashanah. That sometimes people have faribah. For whatever the reason is. I don't know what the reason, it's not the point. The Torah tried to tell you how much you have to remember and to show gratitude for what people done for you in the past. Even if they done for you one favor, like the Egyptian, they're giving us a place to stay, food to eat, they allowed us to come to their country. Found that later on, it was horrible. They killed the male, they pushed us to slavery. Nahon. The Hidush is, that was good to you at the beginning, remember that gratitude. Only one Torah can teach us, only our holy Torah. Let's go to verse 24 in chapter 24, verse 9. Chapter 24, verse 9. And here the Torah tried to teach us something that we have to remember. And I would like to link it. Yeah, here we are. Sorry. I'm in the wrong place. Sorry. Let me just get to the right page. Okay. Here the Torah tried to teach us something that we have to understand. And I'm going to try to link it now to Chodesh Elul, Be'ezrat Hashem. זכור את אשר עשה אדוני אלוהיך למרים בדרך, בצאתכם ממצרים.
Chapter 8, did you say, Rabbi?
Yeah, chapter 24, verse
8.
Verse 9. Sorry, verse 9.
Okay,
9.
fine.
My mistake.
No
Did I say
problem. Remember what Hashem your God did to Miriam on the way when you were leaving Egypt.
Okay, what happened when on a journey from Mitzrayim to Eretz Israel, the Torah tells us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished Miriam. What happened with Miriam? The Torah tells us that Miriam spoke Lashon Hara about her brother Moshe. What was the Lashon Hara? That she said, how can it be that my brother left Zipporah? Zipporah was the wife of Moshe. Why did he leave her? Said the Mefarshim that from here you learn something very important. HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished Miriam. What was the punishment? We know that she got leprosy. Okay? For 7 days she was isolated and the entire nation waited for her. Said the Ramban, now we're speaking about the Nahmanite, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman. He born in the city of Catalonia in Spain 830 years ago. In his commentary on the Torah, by the way, he also was a doctor, the same like the Rambam, the same like the Sforno, Rabbi Ovadia Misforno. There was all doctor in that profession. They wrote commentary on the Torah because there was great scholar people. Said the Rambam, here the Torah come to teach you something very important. And we're going to link it Be'ezrat Hashem to you. We know that Miriam, in the merit of Miriam, Moshe Rabbeinu born. Why? Miriam came to her father, Amram, and she said to him, you left our mother, okay, Yocheved. Why you done it? Because you worried that if she's going to fall pregnant and she's going to have a child, they're going to throw the child to the Nile. He said, yes. He said, your decree is worse than Paro. He said, what are you saying? He said, I'll explain to you. Paro make a decree on a boy. You're making decree on the girls and on the boys. Your decree is worse. He said, what are you talking about? She said to him, Amram. He didn't say to him, Amram. She said to him, Father, obviously. You, the highest spiritual person in Israel. You from Shevet Levy. You're supposed to teach Torah. Now that everyone will see that Amram left his wife, divorced his wife, every male going to do that. And then, not only that not going to be male, not going to be even female. So your decree is worse than Paro. You say, you're right. He remarried Yocheved. Okay. And that marriage born Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu being put into the Nile. Who looked after him for all of those 3 months? Obviously, Miriam. She was sitting among the reeds, among the bushes. Who makes sure that he get fed? After that, when Batia, Bat Paro, gone down to the Nile, and she saw and she brought Moshe out of the Nile, she found a nurse for Moshe Rabbeinu. Who was the nurse? We know it was Yocheved. Who looked after Moshe all of his life until he brought up? Miriam. Say the Ramban something very important. He said, Nachon, that Miriam make sure that because of her, Moshe Rabbeinu born, she looked after him, she guarded him, she nursed him, she make sure that he'll have a nurse, woman, to nurse him while he was in the house of Paro. Not only that, Miriam, in the merit of Miriam, we have the well, water for the entire assembly. Said the Rambam, the Torah come to teach you. When a person speaks Lashon Hara, all the merit that he has, not going to help him. He's going to get punished. And that's what happened with Miriam, that she got punished with leprosy. And he said, look what it says. Zechor. Remember. Et asher asa Hashem Elohecha leMiriam. Remember what HaKadosh Baruch Hu done to Miriam. The same like we have another positive command. Zechor et Yom HaShabbat lekadesho. You have a positive command to remember the Shabbats, to sanctify us. Another thing the Torah tells us, Zechor et asher asa lecha Amalek. Remember what Amalek done to you. The Torah come to teach us that from here, said the Rambam, you have another mitzvah to remember. What is the mitzvah? What is the mitzvah that you have to remember? That it mitzvah aseh to remember not to speak Lashon Hara. Where do you learn that? You learn that from Miriam. That all the merit didn't help her. Lo alenu. When a person speaks Lashon Hara. Rabotai, I saw that Rabbeinu Bechaya, if I'm not mistaken, bringing like this. Rabbeinu Bechaya is saying, when a person speaks Lashon Hara about Mr. X, all the mitzvot that he made, immediately he passes it to Mr. X. He loses all of his mitzvot. How much we have to be careful not to speak Lashon Hara. Especially now, before Rosh Hashanah. Now, Rosh Hashanah coming, we need as many more mitzvot that we can have to come ready to Yom Adin, to the Day of Judgment, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write us and will seal us. את כל עמו בית ישראל, בכל מקום שהם, לחיים טובים ולשלום, to good life, to peace, and healthy life, wealthy life, that we should not only going to be written, we're also going to be sealed in a book of life. What is the advice that we can learn from here, said the Rambam? Not to talk Lashon Hara. How much we have to be careful. And I'm speaking to myself, because you're all tzaddikim, and we have to take things and just put it in our memory. Every time that, whoops, Lashon Hara coming, remember the red light. I can lose, I can be punished, and okay, you start, cut it. Cut the Lashon Hara. Even if you're in the middle of the sentence, say, sorry, I'm speaking Lashon Hara, I can't continue. And that's the Hidushim. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we work on this character trait, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will listen to our prayer and will write us and seal us in a book of life, in a book of health, in a book of wealth, in a book of peace to us and all the Jewish people. And in that merit, we see Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our day. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Rabotai, if there is any question, please unmute the microphone and ask. Bechavod. Ken, bechavod, no? Ken, bechavod, bechavod.
Right, okay. You just mentioned, we must remember, I mean, that the Egyptians did good things. They looked after us. They hosted us. They hosted us all these years, and what have you. But when we do Don't we in the Haggadah also say, remember what the Egyptians did to us in Egypt? And it only mentions the negative. It doesn't mention the good things.
No, you have to remember there's a difference here. Okay, I understand where you're coming from. You have to remember what they done to you. Zechor, you have to remember. But there's a difference between despise, okay, or reject,
Yes.
okay, than to remember. I have to remember, but I have to show them gratitude. When it's come to the Moabite and Ammonite, the Torah tells us, Lo yavo bikal Hashem. Here the Torah tell you specifically that they're not allowed to be part of your nation if they're male. Why? What's the difference? There's a big difference. The Torah tried to teach you gratitude. The Moabite, where did they come from? Ammon and Moab. They come from the two daughters of Lot. Nachon?
Yeah.
Okay. Who saved Lot? Abraham Avinu saved Lot.
Yeah.
Say the Torah teach us gratitude. Ammon and Moab never have, Edom and Moab never have, Ammon and Moab never have gratitude to us. Never show us gratitude. Never show us anything good. Instead of showing us gratitude, they turn against us. But the Egyptian, okay, that you have to understand what the Egyptian done. They're giving us a shelter. They're giving us food. They're giving us a place to eat. They welcome us. That you're not allowed to reject or to despise. But you have to remember what they done to you. The same like the Torah told us. Remember what Amalek done to you. You have to pay him back. You have to annihilate him. Because we did nothing wrong to Amalek. We left Egypt. Amalek, where's he come? From Eretz Plishtim. Amalek came across the country to the desert to fight with us. We have nothing to do with him. We done nothing wrong to him. That's what the Torah tried to teach you. That you have to do and you have to define. When I said to do, that's after you define what is right, what is wrong, that's what you have to do. Let me give you proper scenario that we know now. In 7th of October, the Amalekim from Gaza decide to attack the Jewish people. Those people that used to look after them, those people that nursed them, those people that giving them job and shelter and giving them food, they attack. The Torah tells us, people like those, the Amalekim, you should annihilate them. But the Torah tells you from the other way, at the beginning of the Parsha, that if you go a war against Gaza, you started the war because you wanted to extend boundary, although Gaza is our land in the Torah. And one of the soldiers saw a nice-looking woman from Gaza. I don't know if there is such thing, but let's say, or in Lebanon, or whatever the case is, and he bring in a Lebanese or Gazian woman, how we have to treat her. But that's only in a condition when you go to war. But in a situation now that they attack us, that's milchemet chova, to defend ourselves, to survive, not only that you have an obligation to annihilate them because they're your enemy and they're not going to have mercy on you, like the Rashi HaKadosh say, and we saw it in the 7th of October. Not only that, you're not allowed to marry any one of them. That's the Hidush. You follow the difference? Sometimes the Torah teaches us where to have gratitude and where to be with no mercy. because that's the fine line that we have to learn. And where's the guide? Is our holy Torah. That's the Hidush.
Right.
I hope that
Yes,
I
yes, very much
explained
so.
myself. I hope that I explained myself, Jeffrey.
Yes, you have. Robert,
Okay.
just one other thing. The verses that you've read out all have a similar theme. You spoke about the rebellious son, and it explains basically it will never really happen, but it's to people to understand what could happen. I mean, what could have happened. So here we have, and you mentioned about the book of the Haredim, if the sun goes off the rails, bring him back. So the next one verse that you explained to us is that on the rooftop, you should be a fence around the roof. Build a fence. Perhaps in the same vein, you've got to build a fence around your family. You've got to build a fence around that when that a child doesn't fall, that we don't fall off the rails. And life is important. As you mentioned, life is very important. Don't put oneself in a dangerous situation. So how do you get into a dangerous situation? When you dabble in other religions, when you dabble in other things, you put things in. So you've got to build a fence around your family to prevent all these things taking place. So there's a common theme in all these verses of how to protect ourselves, how that we should teach our children the right way, and that we don't have to face this rebellious son, which could happen. And it came perhaps from a union of the soldier and what is happening.
But I would like to add up to what you say. It's a beautiful idea that I never thought about it. But if you think about it, just came to me now. The Torah already telling you what is cause all of these situations. Say Rashi HaKadosh, Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Sometimes the evil inclination come to us to try to put us down. And we as a Jewish people not allowed to give up. I mentioned it today, someone phoned me, I just said that you have to understand where is all the bad thoughts coming from? That's Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara trying to destroy a man from inside. That's the job of Yetzer Hara. Try to say to you, look how useless you are, look how bad you are. You're not a tzaddik, you're doing avod. If you hear that, you shut it off. How do you shut it off? Very simply. You have to get rid of it, and you have to get rid of it quick and fast. And you have to annihilate it. It doesn't mean that by that you don't listen, you don't have to work on yourself. No, that's I didn't say. What I'm saying, you have to stop him immediately, not to bring you down, but you have to work on yourself. You have to work on yourself to understand that you have to move on. That's the Hidush.
Yeah. Well, thank
And
God.
that's what people don't understand. The Yetzer Hara is there to bring us down and giving us bad food, bad idea, why thing doesn't work. All it's Yetzer Hara sitting on us here, tak, 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 like a drill, tak, 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 doesn't stop. It's our job to understand that that's the Yetzer Hara that try to bring us down. In Jewish religion, there is no such thing, no hope.
Correct.
If the people of Egypt that tried to put us into slavery, and a slave can never leave Egypt. The Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, when they were slaves, if they would think that there is no hope, where would we be today? If we didn't have Moshe, if we didn't have Aaron and the elderly, where will we be today? We say it's in the Haggadah.
Yeah.
We will still be slaves, us and our father. That's the Hidush.
Yeah.
That we cannot live for a second with the idea that there is no hope, especially for Chodesh Elul. What we done in the past, we done. Everyone had a baggage full of avonot. The Chokhmah is to look forward, not to look back.
Yeah.
What you done in the past, it's already done.
History.
It's time now to rectify. That's the Hidush. And all the time, this Parashat Ki Tetzeh, when you go to a war against who? It's Yotzi Yetzer Hara. Come before Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Chodesh Elul. It's time to do tshuva. It's time for us to sit, to think, to look forward. That's the Hidush.
Well, you know, Rav,
You follow?
it's part of our internal DNA. It's part of who we are. The whole, since the beginning, we've hoped for Mashiach. We've hoped for it. We've never let it go. We've kept on and on because we've hoped for it. This is part of our nature. It's part of who we are. The Jewish people do not give up hope. We can be in concentration camps, so we can be obliterated. We still hope. And right now, we still hope. We hope more. We hope more. And that's who we are. That gives us our power and our strength, because we don't get defeated. We hope. We know. And we've got the antidote. We got the antidote to all the negativity, to the Yetzer Hara, and that's the Torah. We've got the means to fight it. Those are the weapons, the tools that we're given. So we are very blessed. What you're mentioning about the hope, we do. We have this hope.
That's why Moshe Rabbeinu said, Am Kisheoref. That Am, it says, sorry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, a stiff nation, stiff-necked nation.
Yeah.
That's why we are. That we never give up. Listen, Rabotai, we're fighting 7 different nations at the moment, 7 different countries. What Dr. Les said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if he said it on purpose or not, if he forgot or not. He forgot to tell you that when Israel they attacked in Syria, they brought 4 prisoners. There's a talk of 2 prisoners. There's a talk of 4 prisoners, Iranian, that was in that base. So if we wouldn't be a stick nation neck, we would just defend. We wouldn't attack.
Yeah.
The same like in 7th of October. If we would just defend, that the Torah come to tell you that sometimes you have to attack and to be not merciful. And that's the Hidush. That the Yetzer Hara, with him, there is no friend. No mercy, no friend.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that I explained the situation, and I link it to Elul and Rosh Hashanah. Be'ezrat Hashem. Rabota, any other question? Any other question?
Rav, thank you. There was a very, very good point. What they did in Syria is unbelievable, Rav. It's like Mission Impossible. Mamish is.
You know, Dr. Les, sorry to cut you. There's in the news, because I read the Israeli news. They say that what's happened in Syria, it's more than a James Bond story. What they've done, I don't know how many of you know, I don't know how many of the South African read the news in Israel, but the place to that base, Israel bombed it up, all the road. It was also, Israel got, that's what the news say, how much it's true, I don't know. They got help from the Syrian army. That those that wanted to drive couldn't drive. They have to walk. That it took them a long time to get to that base. When they strike the base, they not just bomb the base, they bomb around the base. But while they was bombing, the soldier came from the air, that the same unit that was the helicopter that got crashed and 2 soldiers died. So we have to understand 2 of the soldiers that was on that helicopter that got injured, that we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Emanuela bat Gabriela, Vitai bat Tali, they was in that helicopter. So we have to understand, if it wasn't be a stiff neck, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu choose us? Why? Because we just say yes, sir, no, 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 sir, no. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us because he knew that we are stiff neck. Stiff neck, it's not always derogatory. It's also good that we don't give up. We have to learn not to give up. The Rabbi Nachman מבresלב, אין ייאוש בעולם. There is no such thing. There is no such thing in the world. For a Jewish person, ייאוש, to give up.
Yeah.
A Jewish person never have to have in his lexicon, in his vocabulary, the word to give up. If we would give up in Egypt, if we would give up in the Spanish Inquisition, if we would give up in the Holocaust, and if we would give up since 48 that we didn't have a moment peace, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be the nation that we are. That's the Hidush. Yes, there's plenty challenges. I'm not saying not. I don't live in denial. Yes, there's a lot of challenges. Eretz Israel is full of challenges. Rabota, it's not pashut. But if we wouldn't be a stiff neck, we wouldn't have, and we wouldn't be who we are, and we wouldn't be the nation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we wouldn't get the Torah. Only people that they are stiff-necked after so many prosecution, after so many destruction, after so many programs, after so many times that people tried to kill us, to annihilate us, we're still here. If it was in a time of Paro, it was a time of Haman Rasha, they all try, but they not exist. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said those are stiff-necked. Take that derogatory, turn it to positive. The same, like Hazal tell us in the Gemara, a person that loves blood, what does it mean? A person that born in Kochav Ma'adin, in a star sign of Mars, okay? He loves blood, okay? What does it mean, love blood? He can be a murderer, can be a robber. The Torah come and teach us it's not a bad thing. Take that derogatory, what look to you like derogatory, and turn it to good. You can be a moel, you can be a doctor, you can be a operating doctor, okay? You can be a midwife, an exterior. That means it's come to teach us that we have to learn that from the bad to turn it to good. That's the Holy. That's the Hidush here, Rabotai. That's the Hidush. I hope that that I put things in proportion for us to understand. Jeffrey, I hope that you understand me now better. Dr. Les, I'm sorry that I add up to your words, your beautiful words.
No, not at all, Rav. You added so much, and it's always you add so much to it, Rav.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other question, Rabotai? No. Okay, so Sunday, Be'ezrat Hashem, will have a shi'ur, but I'm flying on Monday morning, early morning, of flying to Israel for 2 weeks to see my little boy, because my little boy cannot come to South Africa, as you know, because he's part of the Israeli Defense Force. And we're going to visit him. The Israeli government given free ticket to the parents, actually more to the woman, to go and to be with the son, to unite it with the son, those that they are lone soldiers. So I'm still going to give shorim from Eretz Israel on a Zoom, But the live showing that I give in all different shul, those of you that come to Yeshiva College, those of you that come to Keter Eliyahu, when you don't see me at Yeshiva College or in other shuls, for 2 weeks, for 2 Shabbos, I'm not going to be. Obviously, the shiur that I give Mishnah 15 minutes every day after Mariv at Yeshiva College, those were not going to continue, but the shiurim of definitely the shiurim of Parashat Shavua, we're definitely going to continue. I'm still debating what we're going to do, if we're going to continue on a Sunday on a shiurim of Shmuel Aleph, the book of Samuel, or I should do maybe 1 or 2 shiurim about the months of Elul to prepare us to Rosh Hashanah. I'm just sitting on it. But everything, you're going to get all the messages. Be'ezrat Hashem, I'm going to update you all on a group. So in the meantime, I would like to wish all of you Shabbat Shalom. Please God, going to be a peaceful Shabbos to us and to Kol Amo Bet Israel. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we got a different way to look at the Parsha that we're going to read on Shabbos, Parashat Tetzeh. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and have a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos, a beautiful evening, everyone.
Amen.
And the most important, peace to us, V'lekol Amo Bet Israel. Have a good night, everyone. All the best. Good night. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.